The Confederacy of Dunks is now on the Talkhole Podcast Network. Check out talkhole.co for more great podcasts.
Hello. Can anyone around here speak basketball?
It's the Confederacy of Dunks with Kevin Dowse and Freddie Rivas. Wow. Here we are.
Jinx.
Episode. Oh, we did? Do you owe me a beer?
Yep.
You owe me a couple beers.
Yep.
I want two. Trump's America.
Were you about to say what number episode this was?
40.
Cool.
On the
That's
40th
fun.
episode. That's
that
a
seems
milestone.
like a big deal, yeah.
This is 40.
We're over the hill.
40-year-old virgin. Episode 40.
Lordy, look who's 40. All those things.
How you been, Kev?
I've been good.
Yeah?
Things have been busy but fun. Keeping my happy light on at all times because there's never been any sun.
Oh, that's true. It is so dreary out.
Yeah.
It is brutal. I rewatched the entire Sopranos
Nice.
in under a month.
Oh, are you affected?
You start to get on a roll where it's like, this guy is a serious monster. Like,
Yes. Oh yeah. Bad person.
He's killed so many of his own
Yeah.
family
Yes.
and just doesn't care.
Yeah, real rotten.
So that's been my month.
Cool. My name's Kevin Dowse. Freddie Rivas is he might join us partway through the pod, guys. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
He's going to drop in via helicopter. Got Matt Duncan working the dials,
Working the keys.
working the keys, and we got a couple wonderful guests here. First, coming at us over the phone. She's been on the pod a number of times. That's her daughter there in the background saying hello. Everyone, please welcome Elisa Nobrega.
Hello.
Oh, you have a fun theme, Elisa. I forgot about this one.
Wow, that was a great intro song, and my daughter Mariana is here with me, and she also approved.
Nice. Was she dancing?
Thank you for having me on. Sorry, what did you say?
I said, was she dancing?
She was dancing, mostly with like her arms flailing out. That's her signature move.
Yeah, me
she
too.
likes to lie on her back and like flail her arms, but
Nice.
she could win a dance competition with that move.
Sick. True.
True.
Also in house, a friend of the show, welcoming back Ohio's own Ned Petrie.
Yeah. Oh. Woo. Yeah.
He's running. He's
Check it out.
jumping.
Check this out.
There's,
Whoa! All right. I always work on new moves every time I come back.
I always picture it as you grabbing a star and just like running through all of the Goombas.
Yep. I know we have a guest over the phone here, so she didn't see, but I did a triple backflip.
Yeah, it was
In the
pretty
middle
cool.
there. I always work on a new move.
Ned's abs are insane
Well,
from his back.
not that I wanted the abs. It's just a side product of trying to get really good at the
Like the
backflip.
incessant backflips.
It's a necessary thing. So you mentioned you watched all the Sopranos in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
It's this weird phenomenon now where you can binge watch shows that were meant to be watched a week
Yes.
apart from one another, and it's very extreme. I read that in Mexico, a Mexican company bought the rights to adapt Breaking Bad, but they turned it into a telenovela. So instead of an episode every week, it was an episode every night.
Oh,
So it was over in 3 weeks. And every episode followed the exact plot
Really?
of the one we know. So imagine everything that happened in
that's-
Breaking Bad, but crushed into 3 weeks of
That-
television.
That escalates insanely.
The
That's
deaths, the
intense.
murders, the exploding planes. It's
God.
that's a lot
That's
to
a
deal
lot of
with.
stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of want to watch that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine
Yeah, I think that would be really good.
imagine you're Walter White's friend in that version, and you're like, well, I'm going on a cruise. And then you come back and you're like,
Yeah.
whoa, what happened in this town? What happened to my buddy? This is wild.
This is a national story. You really did it.
Damn, I got to find that and funnel it into my brain.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, let's get going here. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of stuff happening around the league, but we'll start at home with the Toronto Raptors. There's our Raptors theme.
Nope.
That's enough. They
All
don't
we
deserve any
needed.
more than that.
No, it's true.
Gotta
It's
play a
very
little
true.
bit better, boys.
I have some specific questions, but I guess
My
Elisa,
God.
I'll pose you the first general. The fuck's up with the Raptors?
Wait, did you say what the fuck's up with the Raptors?
Yeah.
Or the refs?
No, the Raptors, the Toronto Raptors. What's happening?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a product of the injuries, like, DeMar and Patterson and all of that, and the combination of the schedule. Like, January's a tough time, and
Yeah, I feel like we've had all back-to-backs.
And Kyle Lowry can't do it all himself, and all those kind of like road trips and all that.
Yeah. I tend to agree. I feel like you're always going to have a lull, and I feel like with the Raptors, because we're like that deep team where everyone's important, when you lose two important guys, you're like, oh shit, we're bad now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're two important guys plus Patrick Patterson, essentially, and we lost, two of those three.
Yeah.
And I'm actually, when Freddie comes in, I know he disagrees with me on this, but I'm not of the school of thought that says, like, we must trade, we must get another piece. Like, clearly we are so bad, we need to improve all of that stuff.
Right.
So I'm sort of just like, there's nobody. I'm always of this frame of mind that, like, whoever we bring in is not necessarily going to solve the problem of injuries, fatigue, road trips, which is what I think the Raptors are suffering from right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I do feel like I tend to agree with you for the most part, but I also feel like basketball really is just like, do you have more people who are good? Then you win. Like, if you have more talent, then you have more talent. And
yes,
I'd love to bring in Ibaka. I don't know what it would cost, but I'd be super interested in that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's true. It is kind of where the league is right now. It's like build as many people as you can on one team and out talent the other team that you're facing. But if we were to bring in Ibaka, you're going to have to give up something, right? And then you start looking at, like, what are those pieces that are worth the Raptors giving up? For me, it's like so hard. That's where I'm like the worst at it. I could never be a GM. I could never be like, oh, this person is worth it to give up. Or even the future, I'd be like, no, I can't. I need all those future talent.
Yeah. Ned, how are you feeling about it? Do you see, like, are you seeing big problems, or you think it's like just
I think it's big problems because I don't think there's I still think even as it is now, they're not in a position where they've, I don't know, lost their positioning in the conference or anything like that. I don't think anybody's totally surpassing the Raptors or anything like that. I kind of agree that this is that point in the season where everybody's just kind of depressed and annoyed. And this is normally the time of the season where LeBron does that thing where he takes off, a week or something.
Takes off 2 weeks,
So I think the Raptors should just take off a whole week. Just the whole team. Just throw a couple games. Just don't send anybody.
Just bring up the
down south.
Bring up the 905s to run our plays for a couple weeks.
Sign whoever the D League team is. Just let them play a couple. It'll be good for them.
Yeah,
get some NBA exposure.
Yeah.
Just bring up the whole team.
Yeah, Fred VanVleet can stay. He can hang out and play.
Everyone else, the whole staff. But just send the rest of the
Fred
staff.
Rivas can arrive.
Guys, you missed it. For those who aren't watching the live video cast of our podcast right now, Freddie actually just crashed through Matt's ceiling.
Yeah.
It's
He's
so
ziplined
cold in here now.
Ziplined in from a helicopter.
I did some Brendan Fraser Encino Man.
Oh, wow.
Carry on.
Wow.
I was thinking more Stallone in something. But
sidebar is that I have, much like Matt was watching all of The Sopranos, I have just completed watching all of the James Bond movies.
Oh.
So I think Freddie's entrance was very, can I say Die Another Day-ish?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's what I want to say.
And I actually just finished watching all the Encino Man movies.
All of them. There's more.
all of them.
Where are those hidden
There's
ones?
15, yeah.
Yeah.
There were lots. They were lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
There were so many imitators of Encino Man in the early 90s.
The main one we all know is actually Encino Man 15.
Oh, that's
Pauly Shore and
There's
Brendan
15
Fraser.
before that one?
Yeah.
15.
Wow.
It really built up to
Yeah.
it.
They made 2 a year. Every year.
Who's the original Encino Man?
It was
Pierce
Paul
Brosnan.
Schaefer.
Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan.
I said Paul Schaefer. but-
Okay. I blew this up. We were
Pierce Brosnan. You're thinking of 3 and 4.
Yes,
Was Paul Schaefer.
Yeah.
Paul Schaefer.
we were talking about Van Fleet.
We were actually talking about just generally what the fuck's up with the Raptors right now.
Cool
was
game
was
last
the
night.
question I posed.
Yeah.
Freddie, I was saying that I know that you are the differing opinion here, but I'm one that says that, we don't need to panic and like start trading all our pieces and bring somebody else in. But I know that you have some thoughts about getting somebody good to just be like, no, we need a stronger presence on the Raps, right? Or am I wrong?
Well, my kind of thought the whole year is that I feel like when people say like, oh, we need Millsap to like compete with Cleveland, I think that's a wrong way to think about it. I think we needed like Millsap to ensure we don't lose in the first or second round. And I still think that's kind of the same deal. I don't think whoever we get, unless it's somehow Boogie, there's no challenge to Cleveland, period.
Yeah.
But I do think that where we sit right now, we're definitely flirting with a first round exit. We're definitely flirting with like, if we do somehow squeak by the first round, a second round exit. And I think for years to come, this core, I know Kevin's going to talk about the core more, but like it's teetering, and I think it's old, especially the most talented part of the core. So I think that we need more talent on this roster. I heard you guys talking about Ibaka. Ibaka would be wonderful.
Yeah, be a lot of fun.
See, for me, I don't think a trade is a panic. It
depends on what we give up.
Sorry, that's exactly it. It depends on what's traded and that sort of thing. But like basically, this Raps squad has like stood pat more or less and re-signed their people for like 2 or 3 years. So I think it's kind of high time for a trade. And based on the last couple of years, like depth just is not really that much of an attribute in the playoffs.
Yeah, I feel like
we don't need it that much. We don't need Corey Joseph or Patterson or these guys to like give a meaningful 18 minutes in the playoffs. Like, sorry, you do need that, but what you need more so is like John Wall to play 45 minutes of a 48-minute game. You know what I mean?
I really think that like we have like a guard to give up. We have 2 draft picks to give up. We've got a bunch of bigs, like 1 or 2 of whom we could give up and not be too far off from where we are now. And then getting Ibaka or Millsap or whomever would then volley us up that much more. So it'd be like, I think where you got to be careful is when you start giving up someone like Patterson, who is such a glue guy.
Yeah.
Or like Ross, I think I'd be pretty resistant to giving him up because he's the only guy on our team. Well, Lowry, I guess, obviously, but like he's the only guy on our team who's just bombing threes right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's this year. There was a long period of time where everybody was like, yeah, get rid of Ross.
Totally.
Trade him. And like that's part of the reason that I'm so apprehensive is because you never know when a team, like which players are going to gel, are going to become like best buds like Lowry and DeRozan and suddenly go off and do career stuff.
Yeah.
And you never know when the players that you have been developing are suddenly going to become amazing. Like we all know, like I just know that if we trade Terrence Ross, he's going to go to another team and he's going to just like explode and he's going to like become like Steph Curry level 3-point shooter or something like that, or Jonas, he's going to trade him to another team and he's going to be like Boogie level numbers or something like that. But
Jonas could beast.
That's always the fear I have.
Sure.
No, that is the legit fear.
That's the fear, yeah.
And I think like if you look at this Raptors team, like for me anyways, we're loaded up on assets that are duplicates.
Yes.
So we have 3 excellent 2 guards.
Okay, good point.
We have Ross, Powell, and DeRozan. All good starting 2 guards in the NBA.
Yeah.
But you force one of them to play the 3, they're not so good. Or Ross has basically like done a good job as becoming the backup 2-guard guy. But I think Ross is talented enough on a lot of teams to start at the 2.
Yeah.
Especially
I also think veteran Ross is going to be a very fun one.
Totally. And like at this point, like there's no other way to judge Ross. He's one of the very best shooters in the entire NBA and has been for the last 3 years. He's an excellent 3-point shooter, which is like super sought after, basically for any team. Powell definitely looks like he is a major attribute.
Yeah.
Totally.
The one trade that I've been seeing a lot that I kind of like, that's like lets us keep Ross, is convincing someone to take DeMari Carroll by giving them Powell. So basically it's like, do you want Powell and Carroll? Because Powell, everybody wants, but he's on this rookie contract. So if you want a guy like Ibaka, he's totally untradeable.
Yeah.
Like you need to match salaries. And Carroll has, I think he's like 15 or 16. And, I don't know what Powell is.
Like 400,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I think they actually might have signed him to something a bit more, but
Yeah. So something to that effect.
Yeah.
Because even Ross is only $11 million. So you're going to have to put someone else with him.
Yeah.
Like maybe Jared Sullinger.
But isn't this Ross's last year and under that contract? Oh, no, he just signed that
resigned,
contract.
yeah.
This is his first year on a good
A
contract.
very good contract.
So that's like
Everyone
also a
was
reason
so
you don't
mad about.
But like, let's just
know.
like theorize for a second. So you don't want to trade Powell, right? Okay. 2 years, you want to max out Powell? Because that's what he's going to be asking for. A lot of teams will max him out. So it's like we're going to have
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
In 2 years, DeRozan's 29. Still a major part of our team.
Yeah, maybe still 2 years better. Who knows?
Exactly. Maybe DeRozan's declined so much in 2 years that you're trying to get rid of him or something. But I just don't see that at this point.
Yeah, no, me neither. More likely is that in 2 years he's like incorporated a consistent 3-ball into his game and like he's an amazing player.
Yeah.
Knowing DeRozan, I would kind of bet on that personally.
Yeah. Well, that actually leads us kind of nicely into the next question I was thinking of. Is that like this current Raptors era? Let's say it's been real good for the last pretty much since the Rudy Gay trade. I would say this era started, and since Masai's arrival,
easily been the best Raptor era of all time.
So where's it going? Like how much longer do we have? It's worth asking now with Lowry's contract essentially being up after this year because he's not going to pick up his own option. I highly doubt. So maybe Ned, maybe I'll pose it to you first. Like, what do you see? What's the shelf life of this Raptors era? Is Lowry coming back? If he doesn't, what does that mean? Like,
I don't know. I've always been of the mind. Now, granted, as a Cavs fan, when you have someone like LeBron on the team, you're like, great, we're comfortable. Just keep with this, keep getting better. But any other team I've followed, anytime you're not a contender, I'm just blow it up. Just forget it, blow it up.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, this is the best era in the history of the Raptors, no doubt about it. They're definitely on pace for another 50-win season, and and more playoff wins. But on the other hand, I mean, you were saying before, it's like, is anything going to happen that's going to
get us over any hump?
Vault into a real contender position. And my impulse is always like, if not, just figure it out until you can.
Else,
this is the kind of league where you need to have one of the top 10 players in the league in order to even to contend.
Do you think DeRozan could be our Dirk, though, where he's just like, I'm here forever? We have like 8 really good years. Then 1 year it all comes together. We win a championship, but that was the only.
He's a piece. I think DeMar. I mean, there are players on this team where if they're your first, second, third best player, they could be a first, second, or third best player on a championship. I can see that happening. Totally. But yeah, what would we need? I don't know. You were saying Bogey. It's like you need.
I think like if you're looking at this current iteration of the Raptors, and it's like let's say we'll just focus on Lowry, DeRozan, and JV. I think that's like the main part of the core.
I think so. Yeah.
Although there's lots of questions.
JV is now.
Well, lots of question marks with JV, but I think that's like the major part of the core. So with that core, I think it's best with Lowry being your best player. Like if I had to take a guess right now, I would say, and this is hard to admit, but I would say that DeRozan or JV are never going to have a season as efficient and good as Lowry's season this year and last year.
I would agree with you.
I don't think that's ever going to happen. So I think that if you want this current core with those 3 guys to be a championship level team, you basically have to add someone who is as good as those guys at the other 2 positions on the starting lineup.
Right.
So I think Ibaka is like the first step in that. So that's kind of why I'm forced getting a guy that you can then resign.
Yeah.
Because then
you need their bird rights. Like you can't get a free agent.
Exactly. So then you're kind of playing the Houston game, right? Where it's like you got Harden and then they got Howard. Obviously it didn't work out, but I mean like it's like it takes a couple steps to get like it's a rare situation that happens. What happened to Cleveland?
Or
Miami,
Boston, or Miami.
Well, even sorry, you mean like Boston with Garnett?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because like even if you like took Boston's core right now, they're not even sniffing a championship, and they never will, because Horford will never. Like unless they can somehow get Jimmy Butler or someone who's like another
major guy, because Horford's not going to make it.
And Brad Stevens hasn't won a playoff series, and like I I think he will this year,
Yeah.
but I would not at all be shocked if he didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really? I
Yeah.
have the opposite impression of Boston. Like, in my mind, Boston is doing something that is sort of what I always feel is like the better way to do it, just like not accumulating a bunch of stars, but working on their game slowly. And like, they compete super hard all the time, but perhaps I'm totally naive in thinking that they are as good as their record shows right now. Like,
Well,
maybe they will crumble totally.
I think Boston's great. I just don't think that if we're going around the like, can this core win a championship?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that's how I was kind of phrased.
Right.
Because I don't think that Boston if they won more than 2 games against this current Cleveland squad, I would be like pretty shocked.
I mean, part of it
right.
too, just speaking about talent, is that Isaiah Thomas is playing like MVP level ball right now.
Yeah, which they would need
It's insane, yeah.
to even to win games in the playoffs, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, he'd have to go off, which he might. He could. I guess that is the time when those players take those next steps. I guess the biggest question for me around this current Raptors era is like how much Lowry has left.
Yeah, exactly. He's 30.
He can't make it through a season right now without getting like exhausted because we play the hell out of him. So like how maybe he's in the best shape of his career the last couple of years, and it shows. And Steve Nash played great till 35, 36, whatever. So maybe that's a thing that Lowry can pull off. Chauncey did it too. I don't know if he played quite that long, but he played really well in his older years.
For me, the best signs that Lowry can age well is his shooting.
Yeah, I think
And
so,
the
which
fact
has
that he
only
can-
gotten better.
You don't lose
Yeah,
that.
and exactly, and he can play the off guard. So I've always said to Kevin, like privately or probably on this podcast a couple times, I would like my dream's always been that like Lowry would be our Billups.
Yeah, totally.
And he would, and I think that like, if we could massage it in some way that he would maybe, we would win a championship when he's our 3rd or 4th best player. But that to me means either you're like pretty confident in certain players developing into like better than Lowry.
Yeah.
Or you're bringing in people.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Siakam in 3 years.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm actually done.
I was going to say something totally crazy, and it's a thought that I don't talk about sometimes, which is that, so for the Raptors, when we started, we were this like club that, nobody like really wanted to come to. And when Masai came in, his thing was all about like changing the culture of the Raptors, which I think he's done pretty well. Like Raptors are hype. Everybody loves them. We sell out all the games. The merch is everywhere. Like that's awesome. And so we're talking about how maybe a championship isn't actually the immediate goal yet.
Yeah.
It's still to like build this like cool team that like American players want to play at and like can draw like to become like essentially a big market team like the Bulls and the Knicks and the Lakers or whatever. So we can get the Kevin Durant's and the Boogies even, or like people who have these big contracts, and that we might still have a few years of that kind of building before we can like get to that level of then winning a championship.
Yeah, I think
so if we still have a few years of like that culture building, then maybe it's okay that we're still going to keep Lowry, like we're going to ride out Lowry, because Lowry's been such a heart and soul of this team.
Yeah,
to, like,
pay him
bring
whatever.
Us to this level. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
I totally agree.
On that?
Well, I was going to say as part of this too is that like I don't even want to think about Masai ever leaving the Raptors. Because like I want him to spend his whole career here because I think the culture starts from the top down, and some teams it's the owners. The Raptors have like the absentee owner thing going on, which is not great, but better than like the maniac owners who we'll touch on in a little bit.
At least they spend money when they need to.
Exactly. So basically, our culture starts at Masai and goes down from there. Which I think is, I think it's great. I think you're totally right, Elisa. I think that's like you have to build a thing that you can sell to players, and when people arrive in trades, even if they're not free agents, you want them to get there and be like, oh yeah, I know how to be here. Like I'm happy to be here. I know what my role is.
And like if you're not really that interested in like developing and playing this slow game and the kind of like accumulating assets with the Raptors, then you're facing the question of, okay, I need to beat LeBron
Yeah.
before he turns 35 or starts to fade. Or forget about Cleveland for a second. We keep talking about Cleveland. And if we're talking about winning a championship, you're talking about beating Clay, Curry, Draymond, and Durant. And I think the oldest person there is Curry, who's 28.
Yeah.
So good luck beating them in the next 7 years.
Yeah.
Sorry, what's that?
Is Curry 28 and he's the oldest?
I'm pretty sure,
Pretty sure, yeah.
Wow.
So that's kind of like what you're looking at. But yeah, no, that's why I agree with you. Like the Raptors need to they need to stay good.
Yeah.
I mean,
we need like a decade of making the playoffs just cuz.
But then at the
exactly.
Yeah. At the same time, I'm looking at Ned here. Ned didn't even say anything, but I'm just remembering what he was saying about like always blowing it up. And it's hard not to look at Philly,
not to want to.
Philly and Embiid, and like with like Simmons coming and maybe being like, but they might beat Golden State. Like they won't because they're so far away still, obviously. But like, it's kind of like, man, Embiid is like way more special than anyone on our team.
Yep.
I agree.
So it's kind of like, I don't know. You do need to get someone who's a top 10 talent unless you're banking on having a Detroit magical run or
I'm always of two minds about
a
it. 'Cause
Dallas magical run.
My impulse, and this is why I shouldn't be a GM, is like blow it up. But but you're absolutely correct. There is something to be said of just being consistently good and people thinking of you as good and wanting to play there. And when I think about a team,
especially
like
when you're previously like a tire fire,
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the team that I think of as being like the most consistent is like the Spurs, and it's like, well, they're a small market. They're not a sexy market, except that it's just such a well-run team. However, if you look at their history, what vaulted them into that stratosphere was being terrible and getting those number one picks.
Totally.
That's how they got their assets to get to that level. So it's a bit of both.
A lot of luck.
Yeah, it's true. And the Spurs also have going for them that I think like most players would want to have Pops as a coach, and I think that he's like a big draw in itself.
Yeah.
At this point.
But
like to get there, they had to.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
The worst team in the league. They were the worst team in the league exactly 2 times in the history of the franchise.
So San Antonio?
And those were the years that they got.
Well, and what's crazy
Hall
is like
Famers,
they were like good, like they were like excellent team year after year after year with Robinson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like before Duncan.
And the one year. They get Tim Duncan.
It's pretty magical.
But that happened with Cleveland. Didn't Cleveland get like 3 out of the 4 number 1 picks?
Yeah, they did.
It's stupid.
One of them was Anthony Bennett.
And one of them was Wiggins.
That's right.
It didn't even matter that one of them was Anthony Bennett.
Number 1 draft pick, Anthony Bennett.
Yeah. It didn't even harm them that one of them was Anthony Bennett. Yeah.
That's insane. Insane. Cleveland, I remember when it kept happening. It was so crazy.
Yeah.
You must have been like every year being like, here we go.
Okay, well, then when LeBron came back, but in that 2 weeks where they had LeBron and Anthony Bennett and Wiggins and Kyrie, it was the first team in the history of the NBA to have 4 number 1 draft picks on the same team until they traded 2 of them. But even that's a luck, bottoming out kind of thing that has to happen. So I don't know.
Shall we move on to our next segment?
Yeah, let's move on to the NBA. Matt, would you hit it?
Dirty South.
Cold.
What up,
Coffee.
New Orleans?
Hello, D. New Orleans.
What's up,
okay,
baby?
Well, this isn't usually our wheelhouse at the Confederacy of Dunks basketball podcast, but me and Kevin were noticing, or as we were talking about the podcast today, we were noticing that the NBA is very much full of drama right now.
Oh my gosh, so much. So much drama.
Lots of different types of drama. So I'm just going to pick one. And we'll talk about it, and then we'll move on when we feel like we've said what we need to say.
Right. What's going on, Freddie?
Let me start with last night. The New York Knicks are going to occupy a lot of this.
In and of themselves are a drama fest.
Exactly. So let me just start with maybe I'll start with you, Elisa. Did you see the Charles Oakley clip?
I did. I sure did.
Okay, so why don't you hit me with some of your thoughts about that?
What happened?
Oh yeah, sorry. Well, I'll let Elisa describe it.
Yeah.
So, well, from the clips, it seems like the Oak went to a Knicks game, and he had some words for James Dolan, and he started to like really give it to him, and then security came up to him and was like, "No, man, you can't." And he's like, no, I really can, and started to like push a bunch of security, and then they threw him out, and it was a scene at the Garden.
Whoa.
It was very much a scene.
Well, when I first heard it, I thought it was a direct confrontation between James Dolan and Charles Oakley, but it was just he was there, and according to Charles Oakley, because he talks disparagingly about James Dolan and his ownership, rightfully so.
Yeah,
because the man's a nightmare.
Yes.
Publicly, he says that whenever he comes to games now, security like tells him like, "Listen, man, just lay low. Like we've been told to like not let you go anywhere or do anything." So apparently, that's according to Oakley.
See, you know what? Okay,
So this has been simmering for some time.
Well, my initial thought is like, I'm not even trying to be a Charles Oakley apologist or anything like that, because I think he's a pretty like tough, aggressive player.
If anything, he's the most consistent individual. This is Charles Oakley doing what Charles Oakley has always done.
He's legit like rough around the edges.
He has never not pushed you back if you pushed him.
Exactly.
So,
that is.
He's the old school like bruiser, upper. You know what
Bears,
I mean?
Bears are who we thought they were in regards to Charles, for sure.
Yeah.
But like for me, immediately when I see something like that, I'm kind of like, I need some context. So I have the context that Charles is who you think he is, but I also have now have context that Dolan, for whatever reason, is making Charles's life more difficult than it needs to be.
Yeah.
He apparently is notorious for doing that with everyone around the Knicks who ever critiques the franchise, including media, former people, anything like that. He like freezes them out. He buries it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, because according to Charles Oakley, when he was asked about it, he said he came to pick up his ticket because somebody left him one. And I guess it was told when he picked up the ticket, the person was like, oh, like apparently the staff at MSG have been, like, he's on their list of people where if this guy shows up, tell me. So apparently they were telling him to leave or something or move from his seat, and he just and apparently when they went in the hallway, he actually like punched a couple guys, which isn't great.
Okay, that's even more context, which is bad for Charles. But like,
it isn't great.
So
I will
my
say,
question is, does he have any official affiliation with the Knicks anymore? No,
just
he's
an
just an old player coming to the game.
Once a Knick,
just a
always
Knicks
a Knick.
legend. Yeah, that's all he is.
They have once a Knick, always a Knick sewn onto the inside of their jerseys, by the way.
What era is he from?
That is a real thing.
Did he play in the 70s?
The Patrick Ewing era.
Yeah.
He was late 80s through the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay. So
and we
it's not
had him
that
for a
old.
while. The Raptors had Oak for a while.
With Vince, man.
Yeah, he was part of our 47 win Vince
He
team.
was part of our best team
Charles
ever
Oakley.
for a while.
Oh my God.
Up until Ben Wallace, Charles Oakley was the greatest NBA player to have never played college basketball, and his way into the league was being
He didn't play college basketball?
No, like he played like junior college basketball. He never played
How did he get
NIA.
into the league?
Well, same with Ben Wallace. They went to the same place. Like they went to community college and they just got in through some like walk-on tryout or
That's
something.
awesome.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And,
That is absolutely
And
crazy.
it was Charles Oakley that helped Ben Wallace get into the league because like whatever coach he had on this junior college level informed him like, this is after you, this is the next NBA level guy I've had.
Wow.
It was Charles Oakley that made the phone calls or whatever to get him in.
I know that apparently Matt, if I'm not mistaken, Matt Barnes did not go to college
I
and
think
was
so.
found in playing.
I think
like
he might
not
have-
even in a community college. He was playing in like rec leagues.
I feel like he was
Wow.
found for college that way.
But
I think.
all right, and I
okay,
should
you know what?
clarify.
No,
I mean no
and
college,
actually-
but no.
I think Kevin's got to be right because like with like the way the U.S. works, they just have so many tentacles for
Yes.
for noticing athletes.
But if you're not a great high school, or if you grow late or whatever, Dennis Rodman was a similar situation. But anyway, so Charles Oakley got into the league just being tough as nails,
Yeah.
and as as Michael Jordan's like enforcer, and then then he was Patrick Ewing's enforcer, and then he was Vince Carter's enforcer. The man's an enforcer. He's a goon. That's what he is.
He's a goon. He's a bloody goon.
Am I
and
surprised?
He drama.
I think so. So I'm not mad at him at all. If he punched a guy, it's like, well, that's,
I guess.
What do you want him to do?
My initial thought is anytime I see someone, anyone really, kind of in that situation where they're like a bit cornered.
Mm-hmm. Getting mobbed by 6 security guards is like...
I always think about, okay, obviously I could totally be wrong or underestimating the situation. But I always feel like when someone's like, when a security guard grabs someone's arm and then the person's like, don't touch me. What would happen if the security guard was like, okay, I won't touch you, but you do need to leave?
Well, I think that's what happened. I assumed that the guard was like, okay, but you need to leave, sir. And Oak was like, oh, no, I have a few more words for Mr. Dolan.
Right, yeah. I me too. I guess I kind of assume that's what happened, but I also don't like fully know. But like with, I do know that like when he grabbed Charles Oakley and Charles Oakley clearly like hits his hand away and he's like, don't touch me. He immediately grabs him harder. Mm-hmm. So I'm like,
fair enough.
There's a double escalation going on that I feel like, I don't know. But at the same time, if you're Charles Oakley and you're famous and you're Charles Oakley, you kind of do need to own that a bit.
Yeah.
Responsibility-wise and leave. It sucks.
And he's courtside at an NBA game.
There's probably also part of it where it's like, I'm a celebrity. You're going to make me leave courtside?
Oh, man. If I was Charles Oakley, I don't know. I don't know how he feeds into the PA system. They probably wouldn't give it to him. But I'd just grab the mic and be like, burn this fucker down. And the fans would do it, man.
You know what? Maybe
telling me.
maybe Ned's got the right idea and we all need a little bit more anarchy in our lives.
What was Oak trying to do?
No, I think he was just trying to watch the game.
Apparently, Oak was saying, "I want a 30-minute breakdance like battle." And then James Dolan was like, "I won't battle you." He's like, "That's okay. I want us to be like the leader of teams, and we'll do robots, and we'll get more athletic battlers."
As far as I can tell, it sounds like all he did was he was just there to watch the game.
Yeah,
and James Dolan was informed he was there and told him to like move from seats where fans could see him.
I think he was,
and then he knew it came from the top down and decided to make a scene.
And he had apparently he had a laser pointer.
Oh no!
Yeah, he was like even outside of the stadium was pointing at airplanes, which is not legal.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
That's out of control.
With more like the heart filters on it, so that
okay, let's move on from Oakley for a second, but let's stay on Knicks. So,
hate him.
Has this team? By the way, I was just thinking on the way up here. I'm trying to think of the last time they were a functional organization.
I don't even
pre-Mello.
Oh, it's not since the Ewing era.
No, I was going to say that season.
Pre-Mello seems to be the best.
In this century.
Amari Landry Fields, Wilson Chandler,
Insanity.
Well, before that,
that was all very fun.
There was that bizarre Riley year. They had. I mean. Have they been a functional organization in this century?
Like even when they're winning, they're still dramatic.
Yes.
Oh yeah, no,
absolutely.
I think it's like it's kind of like the Toronto Maple Leafs thing, but like just more amplified, even more amplified than that. So with Anthony and Phil Jackson, I think maybe I went to Elisa first, so I'm gonna go to Ned first this time. But yeah, I won't even frame it. Like, what do you know about the situation? What do you think about the situation?
So. It seems like Phil Jackson. So Phil Jackson earlier this week responded to an article that was written about tension between him and Carmelo Anthony, and he tweeted about it. And he didn't tweet to say, "Oh, this is overblown. We have a great relationship." He didn't tweet to say, "Oh, Carmelo's a great leader, and we're gonna ride him." He basically tweeted to be like, "Yeah, that's pretty much it."
That pretty much covers it, except I already learned that you can't change a player's stripes, so I'm not trying to change Mello.
He specifically said, I learned a long time ago you can't change a leopard's spots.
That was
something.
That was the expression.
It's always weird when people compare people to animals, too. Can I say that?
Yes.
Can I say that, like, yeah, I get that there's some good animal analogies out there, but, like, just drop the animal
So it's been pretty open that there's this tension between Phil and Carmelo. and it's been pretty open that they're looking to find places
And it
for him
seems like
to go.
Carmelo's the one who kind of floated like, I would waive my
Right.
Well, it's also
Because he has a no trade.
He has a no trade. He's got to be the only guy in the
He's
NBA.
like he's
Yeah.
one of 3, I think. I looked into
Oh,
it after
okay.
I
Whoa.
said that last
Yeah,
time.
it's
not a thing. He was the first one to get it.
It's a
I
big
think.
deal in other leagues.
Yeah.
I know in the NHL. I don't know
my
if it
God.
still is, but it used to be a huge deal.
It was
in the
really
NHL.
bad, yeah.
We had to get like Caberlet to waive his thing.
Third
What the
line
hell?
guys with no trade
Yeah.
clauses, no
Yeah.
move clauses.
So he's got a no trade. So, I mean, and again, it's one thing if, yes, actively behind the scenes, you are trying to trade him and you're trying to work with him to find a place for him to go or there's no way forward. But to just go out of your way and tweet, like, yeah, I don't like this guy. He's an
Yeah.
asshole. It's like, why do you think
What are
you
you-
have
what are
leverage
you
here?
hoping to
Wait a
gain
minute.
here?
He's
Okay.
the one with the no trade
Phil
clause.
has this thing where he's like, he can't fathom the idea of him not looking like the smartest guy, I feel like. Him and George Karl right now are both just like, I've always been the smartest guy. I say whatever I want. I don't give a shit. What, I'm old now and not winning and no one cares? Oh, no.
He's not even the coach. It's why he thinks if one of them's going to have to go, it's going to be Phil, right?
Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, like,
there's no way it isn't.
if you think about like Melo versus Phil's tenure for New York, they've both been a disaster. But Melo has some YouTube clips of some game winners, and I'm pretty sure Phil has like Chris Stapps.
Phil has
and literally
Phil
nothing
has
else.
Joakim Noah's contract.
Yeah.
No, Phil has clips of him winning
But I was
championships in the
but
70s.
Back to
for the
Freddie's
Knicks.
point is that he, like the Knicks don't really have to win to like sell out and be interesting. And maybe Phil kind of understands that. And he's like, I'm going to keep this drama going. And like, it's like a way of keeping people interested in the Knicks,
They're-
sort of, even though they're playing so
I'm
poorly.
liking this theory.
They're like the Leafs in that sense, too.
What you think behind the
it's
scenes
like,
there?
there's no such thing as bad press.
is a
So
work.
it's like
Yeah.
Melo and Phil Jackson and like, what's going to happen? And suddenly people are like talking about the Knicks, interested in them, even though they're like so terrible and nobody should be caring about them at all.
Okay, I think on
right.
Elisa's awesome theory.
Yeah. This is all a work.
We're going to move on to other drama. There actually is quite a bit of different drama going on, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do the most explosive one. We're kind of like 2 weeks out, but it was still pretty explosive. So Jimmy Butler and LeBron's a whole nother thing too. So Jimmy Butler and Wade basically call out their teammates for not trying hard enough. And then Rondo just goes off on Instagram on both of them.
Yeah.
Kevin, what's your thoughts on that beef?
Well, what's interesting there too is that there's a further development after. So Rondo was like, "Oh, my vets never would have gone public; they would have came to the locker room," kind of thing. And then Taj Gibson was like, "Well, the main reason that the young guys were all pissed off about that is because Dwayne Wade doesn't come to practice.
Right.
So it's like, come to practice if you're going to say shit like that." Because, Jerry and Grant and Doug McDermott, I think, were both upset about that. And, there's definitely a sense of, like, Taj Gibson is
like
the...
he doesn't, because I was hearing this too. It's like, and then I was listening to another podcast and they're like, well, Wade's old. He doesn't have to come to practice. And,
I don't know what the etiquette is around that.
and
in
Kobe's
the
the
NBA.
same thing. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense to me. But like,
Oh, yeah, no, Wade responded, and he was like, no, I'm 35 years old. I'm not going to come to practice every day.
Oh, okay. There you
yeah,
go.
like
Like, adamant about
35
it.
35 is like,
you
you got miles.
Like, you like, first of all, you should be retired.
Yeah.
Like, you're not because Wade's still good enough. But I
Yeah.
mean, like, I think the fact that he's still playing at anyone's still playing at 35 is insane.
Yeah.
And but I still feel like if you're not at practice, like some kind of solidarity, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
Or like,
Or just like if you're not actually going to suit up and like run the drills, go to a practice.
Yeah, just be part of the
and,
team,
like, speak to the people, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you don't have to work out hard or whatever, but just go there and be like, do it. Keep your business private like that. Unless it was his tactic to call everybody out publicly to like shame them into doing better.
Yeah.
So is there, here's my question. Maybe I'll pose it to you, Ned. Is there a villain in all of this Chicago stuff, or is it just messy?
I think it's just messy
Yeah,
at
me
this
too.
point. I mean, normally the one that's the most natural villain is Rondo.
Yeah,
just in terms of his personality.
I
sucks.
hate Rondo.
Rondo
Yeah,
sucks.
No, just because he,
Yeah.
he seems like just a bad guy.
Yeah.
However, I don't think he's wrong if he's been called out publicly to then call them out publicly for calling him out publicly.
Yeah.
He's not the one who started it.
I think it's the Bulls front office. I think it has been forever. How it's like their weird GM, the rumors of like them telling Jimmy Butler that if he didn't take the offer sheet that they offered him, they were going to they were going to bench him for Tony Snell to plummet his value.
Yeah, that just came out.
Imagine working for your employer after being told that.
That is a very serious like players agreement bargaining.
And the reason that's like apparently one of the reasons Thibodeau was like so hated by them and like by the GM, and apparently there's also like oh shoot, I just blanked. Oh yeah, they're not giving Hoiberg the roster he wants. They're just like not doing it.
Well, Hoiberg's
he's like I want 3-point shooters, and they're like, got it, no problem. And then like literally got rid of every 3-point shooter on the team and brought in guys who can't shoot.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's super dysfunctional at the top of the Bulls organization.
Yeah, that does seem like it's super dysfunctional at the top, and maybe like it has been for a while.
Well, even this public also, calling each other out thing.
I was going to say, what was weird about the Wade and Butler call out to me was that it made it seem like they were going to get benched the next game, like they didn't start, but the coach brought them in like halfway through the first quarter or something. Like, did you see that? It was
when I read that they were benched, I assumed they were benched. I actually didn't even look twice at that.
Yeah, that's what everybody assumes. Like, okay, they're not going to play, they're benched because they're being disciplined or whatever. But they were just benched for like the very start of the game, then they literally came off the bench like halfway through the first quarter, both of them.
That's almost like more of a shaming in a sense.
That was like our weird Corey Joseph situation, because like everything was weird. It was like Corey's in the doghouse.
Yeah, that was a bizarre one.
I think Corey was tired.
Yeah.
And then Casey was like, I think you're tired. I'm going to rest you tonight.
Yeah.
And then we were playing against Boston, and it was a tight game, and Patterson went out, and he put him in for like 5 minutes. I think.
I also had a feeling that Orlando was like, let us take a look at Fred VanVleet.
It was against Orlando. You're right. It wasn't against Boston.
For like a trade of some kind.
I feel like stuff like that does happen. Remember we played Phoenix last year with Markieff Morris, like having a triple double against us.
That's right.
And we were like rumored to.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the biggest drama of all. LeBron James, the king. Cleveland is slumping just like Toronto, but obviously Cleveland, it's a less big deal because they'll probably have it all together.
They'll be fine, yeah.
And also, similarly to Toronto, they I think J.R. Smith as a rotation piece was like grossly underestimated. He could shoot the three. He plays some defense. He's like rangy guy who's athletic. Yada yada yada. So LeBron starts calling people out, and then there's a lot of chatter online about how LeBron shouldn't be calling people out. He should be playing better. And then it's this whole cocktail of like he's playing too much minutes, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, Netta, even though you're Cleveland, I think I'm going to throw this to Elisa first.
Sure, go for it.
Elisa, what's your take on LeBron and the Cavs? And are there any bad guys there? Or is it just a messy situation again?
I don't know. It's hard now to consider LeBron a bad guy. I mean, if you had asked me like 6 years ago, he was like the ultimate bad guy. But now he's like trying so hard for Cleveland that it's hard to think of anything that he does for the team as like a bad guy move.
Wait a second.
And
sorry. I just want to say I'm leaving out the biggest part of this, which is the fact that Charles Barkley then called LeBron out, and then LeBron went off on Charles Barkley.
Charles should shut his mouth.
Yeah, sorry. That's the biggest part of this whole thing.
That is the big piece, yeah. So for that one, I feel like, Barkley's going to do him, and that is sort of what he does. His analysis is that. Like, yes, he talks about players that are good, but he also talks about personality and, he likes to be controversial and all of that. So it's not surprising that he would call out LeBron James for saying all that stuff. And then I think the way LeBron responded was like the way you are supposed to respond to a bully, which is like, just stand up to him and put him in his place. But it was so mean because it dealt with all of his personal life and his stuff off of the basketball court.
Yeah, it went for old personal stuff too.
But, again, I don't really blame LeBron for just trying to do everything he can to keep his team together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I really
Mariana,
do think
clearly, my daughter, I don't know if you can hear her. She has some strong thoughts.
She loves the Cavs.
Yeah, she's chiming in. She's trying to speak.
Yeah.
She's got a couple sentences brewing.
Well, in terms of
Or not, because I don't think she actually does, but you know what I mean? Like brewing in a year.
LeBron's been called on this
Yeah,
before
no,
about.
she followed that the Barkley LeBron thing closely.
Yeah,
It seems.
I'm sure
It
she actually
seems.
did, because you were probably holding her while you read it on the internet.
Yeah, he's been called out before, LeBron, for talking publicly about his gripes and grievances and so forth, but he's such a smart guy. Like I think he is mature and crafty enough at this point that when he does it, it's specific because he knows it will get people.
Yeah.
I don't think he goes public first, is what I'm
Yes.
saying.
Yeah,
If there's
yeah.
an issue, I think he brings it up privately.
Yeah.
And if nothing happens, then he goes public to put some pressure.
Well, okay, so I know some nasty words were said, but I think for me, ultimately, I side with LeBron. Because
Of course.
to me, the only blight on LeBron's career is a decision and how he handled it.
And that
Because,
still made millions of dollars for charity.
and actually will say, as a Canadian, it for sure pissed me off the way he wrote that Sports Illustrated letter and didn't write Wiggins' name.
yes.
Because I was like, damn you, Wiggins is so good, don't underestimate him.
He knew he was going.
He knew he was gone. But no, I think LeBron, like did the thing last year where he like left for 2 weeks and kind of GM'd the team, and then they like won the championship. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
that's pretty great. But like the only thing that kind of bothers me about LeBron is that Cleveland spends more money on their roster than any other team in the NBA.
Yeah.
So you need to recognize that, and
That's
apparently
like,
Cleveland
yeah.
lost $40 million even though
Yes.
they won a championship.
Yeah.
So that also comes into play.
Yeah.
But as far as Barkley, I feel like Barkley is wrong so much of the time. His criticisms are off base so much of the time. And not that he's like always wrong, but I do think that he's throwing his criticisms out willy-nilly all over the place. And I guess
That's sort of his job.
I know that, but I feel like it's one thing when you're kind of like, if you like were to criticize the way LeBron like went about this particular situation, that's fine. But I think that like he's kind of like, if you're LeBron and you viewed Barkley as like constantly trying to chip away at your legacy, I think that's valid, because I think that Barkley has been.
I think from the start.
Yes.
From the very beginning. From the very beginning, he's
Yeah.
always trying to take him down a notch.
Yeah.
As far as like how people view him as a great player. So, and I think for the people who are like, oh, LeBron cares too much about his legacy, it's like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Of course he cares about
Every
his
player
legacy.
does.
Are you insane?
Yeah.
Wade does, DeRozan does,
Yeah,
Lowry
but at
does.
the
Come
same
on.
time, that is Barkley's job, is to kind of just
I know,
like
yeah.
incite drama,
It's
as
true.
we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like he sort of is that analyst that's not like by the book talking about
Yeah.
numbers and how good certain players are. Like he does bring that extra kind of thing to TNT analysis, which I guess is what like
and
people love and hate about him at the same time.
I kind of wish LeBron just went like at Charles squarely at a player.
Yeah.
And be like, I'm better than you in every aspect of basketball.
Exactly.
Well,
That
that's
would have
fun
made it
about it.
all like even keel, even playing field,
exactly.
and it would have been great. Like Barkley never won a championship,
Yeah.
and
Shaq lets
LeBron
him know
could have
that
just, like,
all the
easily
time.
thrown that in his face just
Yeah.
over and over, and
I
be
guess.
done with it.
Yeah, I mean, and I should be clear with this, even though I obviously side with LeBron, that I still like that Charles does this. I do like that. I think it's
too.
good TV, but it is true that
Maybe I'm too sensitive.
that, well,
I'm
I
a
mean,
snowflake, guys.
but what's great is whenever he goes after, I mean, LeBron is one of the few people that can say to him, no, I am more of an authority than you.
Yes.
Like, I literally am. I'm one of the 5 active players that's more of an authority than you on how to win basketball games.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the other thing is that he's going after LeBron James. He's not going after like, Isaiah Thomas or like, even somebody so small. Like LeBron James should be able to take and has taken his fair share of criticism. And I don't know. I do understand why LeBron felt like he had to go after Barkley. I just wish he had kept it all about basketball and kept the personal stuff out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What was I going to say about LeBron? I think I basically feel the same. It's just kind of like Man, volcanoes got to explode sometimes.
Yeah, LeBron picked his battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went for it.
Oh,
He got his money's worth.
And I think I'm realizing on this podcast that I'm sensitive. When I guess I just feel like sometimes when somebody's a celebrity, I feel like as a society we all feel like it's okay
To
for
just,
anyone
like,
to say anything
beat him
about
up.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're in the public sphere or whatever. And I remember being like equally bothered by Shaq's like relentless like campaign against Dwight Howard. And I just remember it being, I felt that it was like unfair because it's like as a player, it's not like he's asked his opinion on Shaq all the time. But you know what? I guess that is the league. We like what are we? We're a basketball podcast, so
Yeah.
we're critiquing people.
Yeah.
So if we had a bigger amplified
there's
voice,
a difference in that you guys are doing it like purely from a fan perspective. These guys, Shaq and Barkley, are clearly bringing like old ex-player ego into it. You know,
Yes.
like
Oh, yeah.
Shaq was
Totally.
disparaging Howard because he couldn't stand the idea of Howard being the new Superman. You know,
Exactly.
Totally, of course.
I think that was the
Totally.
genesis of all that.
Man,
hate.
Jordan's Hall of
Barkley
Fame speech.
maybe the same thing, like, you know,
Yeah.
LeBron being like a better power forward than he ever was. It's sort of, I think, just kind of that is what
Yeah,
it is,
totally.
as opposed to like other people who are doing objective analysis without kind of like, I don't know, bringing
Listen.
their egos into it.
if I ran the NBA, this would be my rule. You're a commentator, you're a coach, got to be a role player. Because all those guys, they've already made so much money too.
Yeah.
Like I want nothing but Kenny's.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? I want nothing but Kenny's. Honestly.
That's a
Well, I don't know
dreadful
about
nightmare you're
that. I
describing.
mean,
Oh, no.
Sorry, yeah. I want every
Yeah.
coach and every ref and every commentator and every ESPN analyst to be
To
Kenny.
be
Smith.
Kenny, yes, yeah.
To be a Kenny Smith.
Okay, I think
A
we've,
legion of the Jets.
we talked about the drama long enough.
Just a quick wrap up here on the drama. This just in got Reggie Miller's take on the Charles Oakley situation.
Okay,
yeah.
let it fly,
Oh.
Kevo.
He's taken a couple
If
fists
his name's
from
Kevin,
Charles
then let it
Oakley.
fly.
He's taken some fists from Chuck.
Yes, Reggie Miller for sure has been on the wrong end of some Charles Oakley.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
If this is true that James Dolan hasn't wanted Charles Oakley around the organization, it's a damn shame. Oak sweated for the Knicks. Pacers respect you, brother. If you're a free agent to be, why would you play for an owner who treats the past greats like this, or a president who stabs his star player in the back?
There you go. That's something that I was thinking because Charles is
See, I didn't
Oakley.
know all that about Dolan.
Charles Oakley is still like best friends with Jordan. If I'm Jordan, I'm like, guess what? You're a guest of honor. Every Bobcat,
Yeah.
or they're not Bobcats anymore. Every Hornets
Yeah, I know.
game,
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Especially when the Knicks are in town. Are you kidding me? Like if I'm any other team, I'm like,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
And-
even if you didn't play for us, you're welcome here, Charles Oakley.
And
Totally.
at the beginning of every game, when we release the Hornets, we'll give you a B suit.
oh,
You'll be
man.
the only one in the arena.
Only one in the
shielded from
arena who
Hornets'
gets
fury.
the B suit.
Well, that's good.
But guess what? Hornets can penetrate that B suit, my friend.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Jordan's messed.
Yeah. Jordan's he's weird. Yeah. So what are we moving on to next, Kevin?
Let's
So
go on.
actually, before we move on, I think I might have to bow out at this
Okay.
point, as my daughter, she needs to get caught up with this Reggie Miller
Yeah.
situation. So
Cool.
she's demanding that we go on Twitter and look at some pictures and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to have to bow out and take care of her,
Okay, that's A-okay.
if that would be all right.
Yeah, do you have anything to plug?
Do I have anything to plug?
Do you got anything going on?
Nope, I got nothing to plug.
Okay,
you
well,
know?
you- okay,
You guys can all
what-
plug your own stuff.
What's your Instagram, Elisa?
Elisa Nobrega.
Elisa
There you go.
Nobrega.
Elisa-Nobrega. I got some great videos and
Oh, yeah.
pictures and wow.
You
fun
want to
stuff
see
over
Elisa?
there.
You want to see her baby? Have a look at that Instagram.
I also just
page.
realized Elisa's name could for sure be done by as a group cheer, like ELISANOBREGA. Right? That's like
Wow.
perfect, bud.
Wow.
Yep,
Kevin has
absolutely,
pom-poms and he's not wearing anything else.
Nope.
Okay, sweet. Well,
No, it's a
Elisa,
very
thank you
smart
so much.
observation. But thank you so much for having me. This was super fun.
You're the best, Elisa.
Bye, Elisa.
Okay.
Bye, Mariana.
Bye.
Hi-yo. Hi-yo. Hi-oh.
Well, you know what that means, Ned. You have to pick up the mantle by yourself.
I don't even have a baby.
Well,
Or a mantle.
go get one.
Oh no.
It's proline time.
Okay.
Friendos.
Line time. Are you guys ready for this?
I
ready.
want to know my record. It's got to
Let's
be
just-
dismal.
Ha-da-da-da.
Gambling.
Fresh pizza. Just a super quick, Matt. Did you want to just walk everyone through how Proline works? Who's listening,
Oh, yeah.
or how we do it anyways?
Yeah. I've thought about an easy way to explain this. So essentially, the first game is Philly at Orlando, and Orlando has the spread by 6. So if you think that Orlando is going to win by 6 or more, you pick Orlando. If you don't think that, you pick Philly.
That's right.
Okay?
And what's cool is we got a running tally.
We do.
We got one for Freddie.
We've got standings.
One for Matt, one for Kevin, and one for guests.
One for team guest.
Guests.
Me with all the guests.
Yeah. So what are our scores before we get going?
Yep. So in last place, we have Kevin with a 3-7 record.
Ouch, ouch, ouch.
300 win percentage. The guests are they jump back up over 500. They're 17-16 for a 515 win percentage. Freddie and Matt very tight at the top right now. Freddie 10-5, 667. You've had that for a couple weeks now.
Hi-yo.
And I'm still first with an 11-4, 733 win
And
percentage.
we should also emphasize, even if Kevin has the lowest record, it really depends on how much money he bet on these games.
That's right.
He could still have the most net income.
I
based on
am
these bets.
in a bad place. If you guys can help me out after the show.
Also, if you're wondering about how impractical we are, by the time you hear this, these games will be over.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is pure hypothetical gambling.
Yeah. Okay. So, Matt, fire it away.
All right, so game 1, we've got Philly at Orlando, and Orlando has the spread by 6.
Going to me first?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Philly.
Philly. Ned,
Yeah, I'm taking the under as well. Is that what that would mean if I'm taking
Yes.
Philly? That's
Yeah.
the under.
Yeah.
I'm taking
Yeah.
the under.
taking the under. Kev?
I'm going to take Orlando because I don't think Embiid's playing.
He is not.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take Orlando as well. I feel like they've been kind of hot lately a little bit.
They've been like you can never describe a team like Orlando as hot,
Yeah.
but they've been like not ice cold.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got a split there. Second game, we got Houston at Charlotte. Houston has a spread by 4. Kevin.
Oh, like that.
I like Houston in that one.
Okay. Fred?
Houston by 4 over whom?
Charlotte.
Charlotte.
And it's in Houston.
It's in Charlotte.
Houston.
Ned?
I'm taking Houston, yeah.
Okay. And I will also take Houston.
Across the board.
Next, we have a big one. Cleveland at OKC.
Ooh.
OKC is the spread by 11.
What?
I'm sorry. OKC's favored?
Yeah.
By
11?
11.
That can't be.
Is LeBron resting?
Yes.
Like what's
Kevin,
What's
can you
going
lean
on
over the computer?
11?
Just give us a second set of eyes there.
Hey, I mean,
Kevin, you lean over.
Well, I have it just written down because I
you
transferred
just
it.
typed it. So
I transferred it.
Well, I am 100% going to say Cleveland.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even if OKC wins this game, I do not think it will be by 11
Yeah,
points.
yeah.
So I, too, will be taking the under.
Because the last time Cleveland won by like 16, right? That's what. Yeah.
Cleveland beat OKC.
Yeah. Last
But
time they
but
played.
you're saying that the betting line
Yeah.
is
OKC.
OKC
Because they're in OKC?
over.
Well, I actually
11.
think if it's a scenario where LeBron has been like, I'm not playing, then maybe that's a possibility.
That is what's
Oh,
up.
you know what?
Okay, so
I just read this. They might be resting pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
they're resting like Irving.
Oh,
I see. Okay.
I'm not so crazy now, am I?
No. Sorry, it's not that you were crazy.
Still, I'm
I'm still picking Cleveland.
I feel like
I'm
it's
still
me who
taking the
chose-
under. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not claiming that Cleveland's going to win that game, but I'm claiming that 11.
OKC
I'm
wins
definitely
games
going
by a
under.
point.
It's pretty intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah, I'm going to go Cleveland on that.
Are we all going Cleveland? Mm-hmm. Sounds like it.
Again, not to win outright necessarily.
No.
but to.
Yeah, that's pretty silly. Well, we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
You never know with.
But right, yeah, because it's like 4 in a row or something. Yeah, Lou said he might be resting. Yeah.
Next game, we've got Utah at Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Utah has a spread by 4. Freddie.
Say it one more time.
Utah has the spread by 4. Utah at Dallas.
Utah.
Utah. Kev.
Utah.
Hey,
Ned.
if the guests, let's go Dallas.
Oh, mixing it up.
Just to
trying
see, hey,
trying to take that lead.
Only one of us can gain here.
And I'm going to go Utah. Sorry. Last one. We've got Boston at Portland. And Portland has the spread by 1.5, a.k.a. 2.
I'll take Portland.
Kev's going Port.
Say it again, the line.
Boston at Portland. Portland by 1.5.
I'll go Boston.
I'm also going to go Boston.
I also am going to go Boston.
All right.
And
This
that's it.
is how I ended up in last.
And by the way, for this record, do you measure who by beating the spread or by who wins the game?
Who beats
Outright.
the
Right.
Who makes the right
Okay,
picks?
I see.
And that's it for
Great.
Proline
Because
picks.
I'm heavily
episode
invested,
40.
me and the other guests. If we win the pot at the end and we split it
Yes.
30 ways, I
Yeah.
want to make
Yeah.
sure.
We're just betting.
you're getting your
We're just
tuning.
using Mario coins.
Oh,
So,
fantastic.
Yeah.
That's,
Nice.
That's how I was going to spend
Yeah.
it anyway.
Nice. Great.
Okay.
Awesome.
Great. Well, thanks for coming, Ned.
Yeah.
Got anything big coming up?
Well, it looks like Freddie's playing it too. If you're hearing this in the future,
exactly.
get in a time machine and go to Comedy Bar tonight for the Vest of Friends Vestravaganza.
Great.
Big comedy fundraiser show. Otherwise, what else is going on? Nothing. Just follow me on Twitter @Petrie.
Great. It's a good follow. He's very fun.
He's an amazing man.
Well, thanks for listening to our 40th episode, you guys.
Episode 40.
Yeah.
Hi-yo.
Yeah.
It's big.
If I may say,
Please.
check out our website,
Yes.
dungspodcast.com. I've put up some more links because I started doing my podcast again. So Podcast Fat Boy is up.
Nice.
And,
You
what-
wanna-
and that podcast is, give us a quick description of that podcast.
Essentially, it's I used to be a former trainer years ago, and now I'm not.
Okay.
And it's kind of it's kind of my journey through a world where you're forced to exercise, like you feel like you're forced to
Yeah.
exercise and stuff. So it's me navigating through that and ranting as I
Cool.
go about food and exercise and whatever. And it goes all over the place. It's pretty salty. The reboot is
Ooh,
pretty salty.
like it.
Okay.
But it's a fun time, and I also put up a link to Kev's Beaverton page.
Let's
Read up all.
do I have a personal Beaverton page or do you
You
just go to
do.
what?
Yeah,
Oh.
you do. You can.
How about that? Like search my name or something?
Yeah, you should actually ask them to put your picture up because you
Guys,
can.
check me out.
Yeah.
Wait,
so
some Beaverton writers have
their
their
own page.
pictures?
I had
Yeah.
no idea.
If
This
you
is
click
the
on
first
their
time
names.
hearing of this.
It's a Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So yeah,
No one's asked me for my
if
damn
you want to
picture.
read
Yeah.
Kev's articles, they're super funny. Check that out.
Thanks, man.
And of course, Rap Battles is there tucked in.
That's right. Oh, thank you. Yeah, tucked right in. Okay, great.
All right.
Everything's great.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening. And
Yeah. You're to the next 40.
to the next 40.
Thanks, 40.
Hello? Can anyone around here speak basketball?
This has been the Confederacy of Dunks with Kevin Dawes and Freddie Ribais.
Please subscribe and rate on iTunes and Stitcher.
And check out taco.co for more great podcasts.